everyone, it's Terry from Umezushi here, and this is the second part of our knife video. It's about knife sharpening. There's a lot of videos you can find on YouTube, and they will teach you how to sharpen knives, and they're all great. I'm just sharing my experience, how I sharpen my knives, so you get a flavor of it. You might find something useful, you might find something wrong. Please comment below. We'll be more than happy to see your feedback. And the process of the knife sharpening is about creating burr and polishing the burr and finally have that smooth edge. So burr is the very bit of metal that you create at the end of the blade, at the edge of the blade when you are sharpening. So those are actual materials you are taking away from your knife. Because this metal is not 100% solid and they are slightly malleable and soft. So when you sharpen it, you get that tiny bit of material soft attached to the end of the knife. You sharpen the knife using a whetstone. That might get mistaken as being sharp, but what we really want to do is clean out that burr and leave a really sharpened edge of the knife, and this is what we're going to show you in the video. So here is just a simple illustration of the cross section of a knife, and most knives, at least in my collection, are sharpening in this way. There are sort of three surfaces, well, four. This edge here, especially this part of the knife. Then this edge here, it's majority of here on the knife. The last bit, it's of a greater angle, so it runs roughly just 2-3 millimeters along the edge of the knife. And very end here, there is a what they call a micro bevel when I sharpen, and you will see later how that's what I mean by a micro bevel. It's just a tiny bit of an angle to make the knife a little bit more robust, make the edge retention a little bit better. Then along this knife, it's very slightly concaved in, and can't really draw that easily, but you can see that knife there and there is sharpened a little bit more than the middle part. That comes from the concaveness of the blade itself, and this just comes from the way how the knife was originally sharpened. It's on a very big sandstone. There's a lot of benefits of having that concaveness, and we don't want to take that away. What we want to create is, firstly, we create this fur at the end that's called burr, and we want to sharpen until we feel burr on one side of the knife. So we'll be touching the knife all the way across, and to feel like, you will see that, feel like a fine hair catching your fingertips on the side. So you just do that to test it. Once you've done that, we move that to the other side. So we flip the knife over and then create, or basically move burr over to the other side. So before I was filling that edge, I'll turn that over and just feel that. And we'll repeat that process. When it's a high or large size stone, for example, a 1000 stone, you feel a bigger burr. And as you move up to finer stones like 8000, the burr will be very small, or sometimes you can't even feel it anymore. And as you sharpen, we gradually make this thinner and thinner, and eventually we get rid of the burr and end up with a really sharp edge at the end. That's the sort of a basic principle of whetstone sharpening. Now, see? Doesn't catch at all. Yeah. So to begin with, we just use the rust remover, get rid of So just want to remove the rust on the knife. Steady. You get into the edge. Don't need to worry too much down there, because we'll be sharpening those anyway, so I tend to just use the eraser on nuts. Oh, another good thing about these new style stones, they don't require soaking. So more traditional or natural stones, they require soaking, which you just need to soak them in water for 5-10 minutes before you start using them. But these ones, just make it wet and you can go straight away. Deba, one of the hardest knives for me anyway to sharpen, because it's got quite a lot of curves, and especially this is a small knife, so the curves go straight in. You will see why it's difficult to sharpen. There's a lot of different surfaces on there I need to cover. Okay, there are a lot of different ways of doing it. Some people suggest start from the area that you use most. I just start from the like the base of the knife and work my way up. Simple. Okay, let's get on with it. I start by sharpening this just to polish off the top bit of the edge. Then I'll do this part, and finally I'll try and create that micro bevel at the end. So start from the curved side, hold the knife like this, or if the finger is getting in the way, hold it like that, like a pinch grip, and then the knife go on the whetstone completely flat, then I push down, so I know that my fingers and the edge of the blade are all connecting to the whetstone. This hand keeps the blade on the whetstone, and it doesn't push, it doesn't pull, it just follows. The hand holding the handle of the knife does the driving, so moving forward and backwards is driven by this hand holding the handle of the knife. How much pressure we want to apply? Usually I push it so that the hand becomes white. That gives me an idea about how hard to push. If you just touch your hand, it doesn't leave a mark, that means you're applying too much, too little pressure. One rule of thumb is we always sharpen and press harder in a direction away from the edge. So for example, when I'm sharpening this side, I push and then release, and I come back. Push, come back. Push, come back. Then once you have done one side, you can see I've done that. I'll move along and then move down. And you can see there's a lot of different surface on there as you start sharpening. But you can see most of the rust buildup is already gone, and that's already polishing the knife to a certain degree. I'll just do a bit more, even it out, and then we'll move down to the next part. Yeah, you see most of that has been removed and sharpened. Now I want to move on to the next part. You can see that it still has a little bit of rust just along the edge from the previous build-up. So that's what we'll be working on next. That means I need to tilt my knife a little bit more, but not much. Okay, so on here, you see most of that rust is removed. Okay, so I can feel tiny bit of burr along the edge of the knife. So I'm going to start working at a tip of the knife. With the tip of the knife, I flatten it. And I get the finger to really push down. It's really awkward angle, and it's also quite damaging to the wet stone. So I just roll around and really gently. Don't want to push too hard. You see now the rust along the knife is completely removed. And now I'll just focus on even out the burr, so make sure the whole blade is sharpened evenly. Gently push it along. This is just to create the micro bevel I was talking about. So I'll do this at a higher angle. As I mentioned before, it's really important to try and keep that concaveness of the blade. So I don't want to sharpen it too much. I just want to do a few strokes, like the full knife's down. Again, the blade is now that way, so we want to do more of pulling, and when push, we want to relax. So pull, relax, pull, relax. And once you are used to it, just you can repeat the process like that. Here you can see all that been sharpened and the rust all removed, and we still maintain that concaveness in there. Important. Now we're just doing some polishing, and even counts on either side. So I'll do like 10 each side, 9 9 8 8, and repeat that. Once we finish that, the burr will pretty much be gone. Ooh, one important thing, make sure these black materials stays on your wet stone. They helps to polish your knives. These are particles they removed from the knives, so it removes more efficiently and gives you a smoother surface on your knife when you are sharpening. So now we're using 3000. With the 3000, you can just polish the edge of the blade and carry on with it, but I prefer a like a more mirror finish, so I'm going to repeat the process we did for the 1000 for the entire edge of the blade, so that it cuts nicer later. If you use the back of your thumb and just put the blade on that, you will not be able to move it left or right. You may be able to slice it a little bit, but you should feel the blade already catching your thumbnail, and that means you've got a really sharp knife. There you go. And after that, we'll wash it, take away all the excess sort of tiny microparticles on there, and apply mineral oil. Or if you don't have mineral oil, and just get some vegetable oil, really tiny amount, put it on the cloth like a blue roll or something, just rub it around the knife, and that will protect it from rusting. And that's the whole knife.